Today is the day. We're getting a guy that has a title that is so long I can't remember it. He has actually three different titles you can just pick from. And we'll have Steve introduce the guest of today.
Good morning, David. It's Monday again, and I hope that your energy levels are up because today's guest is just full of energy. Let me tell you. And yeah, so he's got quite a long title. So I gotta read this one here. So today, our guest, our very special guest, a good friend of mine as well, known him for years now, is Mr. Danny Reilly, and he's the executive director for business development for the Northeast for Planned Companies. Danny, welcome to our show. Thanks for being here. Why don't you tell our viewers a little bit about yourself?
Good morning, guys. I actually called my parents last night and told them I finally made it in life. I'm joining this amazing podcast, so it's an honor to be here.
Yes.
Exactly. Like you all said, I'm with Planned Companies. We are a 120-year-old plus company.
Wow.
Fourth generation, family owned. We've been around for quite a while, and we are your professional staffing labor service provider. So what does that mean? Everything from janitorial, cleaning everything, maintenance, a chief engineer down to a basic handyman or handy porter. We have our own lifestyle division providing front desk concierge. And then we also have our own security division. A lot of people don't know that about us, providing unarmed security. So roving patrol, vehicle patrol, station guards, welcome centers. We do it all.
Do you have Paw Patrol?
What is that?
That's a TV show for kids. You don't know that?
Oh, dude, I don't have kids. I'm sorry, man.
So as a staffing agency, tell us, what's the most complicated position to fill these days?
So I'm glad you actually mentioned that phrase, staffing agency. So let me just clarify on that, right? So a lot of folks tend to have a little bit of a misperception, especially at trade shows. They're walking by, they say, "Oh, you're a staffing agency. You know, you're going to find me an admin or place a certain role that I'm looking for, and then you send me a fee and call it a day." We're much more than that. So when I talk about those core services I listed before, we're doing all the burden, right? All the payroll, all the things most managers don't like to deal with, the hiring, the replacing, when you have turnover, when someone gets sick, what do? All of that comes to us through our payroll system. All of that is handled by our accounting teams. We have a full infrastructure of operations members, managers, executive directors that handle and manage all the accounts for you. The recruiting, the ongoing training, all under one roof. Planned Companies brought to you by us.
What's the toughest position to fill these days?
All of them. The toughest one really depends on location, but the more complex of the skill set, higher end, like a maintenance manager or a chief engineer, that can be a little bit tougher. It requires a more in-depth search of certifications and skill sets and background.
No kidding. I had no idea that there was actually that much outsourcing going on for community associations. Do you have any idea of what the percentages are for our listeners? How many of these communities are actually outsourced for these positions?
Yeah, we are a pretty decent sized company. We're in 11 states, Boston down through Southern Florida, over to California as well, by the way, and a little bit in Chicago right now. But in those markets that I listed, I would tell you, listen, the pandemic is still around, whether you believe it or not, in some sort of fashion. So pre-COVID, I would tell you 85 to 80% all the way around of the market was outsourcing. After the pandemic, now it's spiked. It's 90 to 95% outsourcing.
Wow. No kidding.
And there's a lot of reasons behind that of why they can't keep up with the times.
Gotcha. So what are some of the key factors to keep in mind regarding like labor in 2023? And then go back again to maybe some of the biggest challenges that are linked to that.
Unfortunately, we're not selling a widget or a commodity, right? Our product is people, and that's our slogan. We care about our people. We value consistency, longevity, real integrity when we hire the right folks for the properties. But two major things going on for this 2023 year to look out for. Number one, you probably heard it a million times, but I'm going to say it again. Minimum wage is going up. It will continue to go up year over year until 2024, up to $15 an hour. We don't know what's going to happen after that. So right now, guys, it's $14.13 an hour for minimum wage. Okay. So when we're hiring, let's say a porter, being transparent, again, pre-COVID, I could pay someone $14.50 an hour. And they were ecstatic. Nowadays, in the North Jersey market, no less than $15.50 an hour, 16. The labor market in general is a scarcity right now. So I would recommend to management, to owners, developers, speak to your subject matter expert. My job is to educate you and show you what's best in that geographical location of what you can expect to pay and be billed for. So last thing on that, the Amazons, the Walmarts, they're starting you at $18 an hour. They're giving you a signing bonus in some case $1,500, $2,000. A lot of folks don't realize that. So a lot of folks are leaving our industry and hopping to the other side, the retail side, the industrial side, and it's become quite a concern for us.
Can you speak to our audience a little bit about technology and how that's affected what you guys are doing?
Everyone can communicate effectively to each other, so there's no excuses anymore. As far as our industry, real estate, management, the residents, they're more connected, easier to communicate, easier for accountability, understanding what's going on at your property. It's created these management software platforms that are just amazing as far as amenity activation, incident reports that we can tie into as well or provide on our own.
I thought it was interesting point you made, and how or what has changed the most over the past couple of years. Like if you had one thing that impacted your industry.
I mentioned accountability, right? So as an example, with our world and staffing, you want to know and trust your staff. But unfortunately, again, when your product is people, they're unpredictable. Even myself, can't believe it. When our staff are circling the building, we want to have a way to measure how often they were there. Were they there? Was there any incidents like a light bulb out, for example? We can now track all that with our proprietary technology. We can communicate that, what happened, where they were, how often they were there, what was done through a quality assurance report. I mean, there's a turn of events right there that you didn't have quite a few years ago. The other part is a time and attendance, right? So not only for the internal staff, but for our staff too. Geolocation, timestamps, facial recognition, biometrics, that can all be placed at a property now like that.
Yeah.
And it's phenomenal for the management team. It's a cost saver, and it's a peace of mind for the residents of who's coming in, who's coming out of their buildings.
Now, the least we can say is that you come across as somebody that's passionate. And I'd like to ask you one question. That'll be my last question of the interview, and then I'll give it up to Steve. But what is the one thing that you love the most about this industry?
I think a lot of folks say it's the people, right? And 100% it's the people. It's seeing the cause and effect. One, in relationships. Two, in turning around a property. So with relationships, I mean, I could speak to the clients all day, and that's great. But even the vendors like yourselves that I've met over the years and built this rapport with, you become like a second family. And seeing each other help out, right? Day in and day out, week in and week out. I mean, I don't know what other industry is like that. And then turning around a property, seeing that cause and effect, checking in, talking to residents, talking to boards and saying, hey, Danny, we appreciate your consultation and being, challenging us on this and doing what's best for us and our residents and quality of life.
Clearly you're passionate. So Danny, we'd like to give you the mic and you can recognize somebody, whoever it might be, that's set the bar in your part of the industry.
I really appreciate you guys having me on and letting me do this. So this is phenomenal. Shout out to our CEO, Rob Francis, because this is my home base. The headquarters is right behind me, actually, where I sit here in Parsippany. Rob sits here as well. So we see each other often. I had the privilege of, in my fourth interview, speaking directly with Rob. Wasn't supposed to happen, but an hour and 45 minutes later, I said, this guy has got something going on. But I liked it, and I liked what the company was heading towards. And I believed him, and I took a leap of faith. And almost 8 years later, we've collaborated a lot. We've created a really great relationship, and I definitely owe him a lot of gratitude for what he's mentored over the years and put up with me over the years and helped me mature over the years. So thank you, Rob.
Thanks for being with us, man. It's been a lot of fun. Thanks for giving us the information. Because honestly, the business, that staffing, if you will, and helping out the communities, a lot of people don't know how important that really is to making the community successful. So we thank you for being here and sharing with our viewers. And we're going to see you guys again soon on the next episode of Community Association Car Chat.